Alright, so Banjo-Kazooie was actually ported recently from its N64 original over to a PC native version that you can check out right now, which will let you play the game at 60 FPS or higher in a widescreen resolution if you'd like, enjoy mod support for higher resolution textures or remixes of the standard Banjo experience, or enjoy quality of life improvements like being able to hold on to your notes if you die or leave the level, which is a really nice inclusion. But for now, let's go ahead and switch over to largely voiceover mode so I can go over the steps that you'll need to go ahead and get this installed on your Steam Deck. And what you'll need first is to visit the GitHub link that I've put in the description of the video below, and also an N64 ROM file of Banjo-Kazooie, specifically the NTSC-U version, which I was prompted for when I was going through my own setup. And I can't link you to where to find that ROM file because I have no idea what horrifying combination of Microsoft and Nintendo's legal ninjas might come after me if I do, but suffice it to say, with even just a little bit of rudimentary Googling, I'm sure you'll be able to find what you need. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the setup process. First, you'll want to go ahead and switch over to desktop mode. And once you're there, visit the link below to download the Banjo Recompiled Linux x64 zip file at the bottom under Assets. Also, while you're here, I would definitely recommend you check out the links at the top so you can grab the BK Reloaded texture pack, but also the BK Jiggies in Time and BK Nostalgia N64 mods if you're into that sort of thing, because I tried both of these out and they are both a lot of fun and just super charming. But make sure you grab the texture pack at the very least if you want to make sure your text looks nice and crisp, rather than kind of jaggy like the original was. Personally, whenever I download non-Steam applications like this that I'm going to add to Steam, I just add them to a folder called non-Steam games within my home directory, but you could really do this wherever. And then within here I made a new folder for Banjo Recompiled to keep everything tidy. Then underneath this folder I made 3 different folders, one for the Banjo Recompiled folder for the actual game files from GitHub and the ROM file, a Banjo Recompiled mods folder to hold the mods separately, and then finally a game artwork folder for manually prettying things up once we're done so it looks nice and clean in the interface in game mode. And for the actual installation, first up you'll want to right click on the Banjo Recompiled executable and choose Add to Steam. Next, while you're still in desktop mode, go ahead and open up your Steam library and just search for Banjo and it should pop right up. From here, go ahead and fire it up, and you'll notice that you can't start the game just yet because you have to load the ROM first, so go ahead and select that at the top, and then navigate to where you saved your ROM file of Banjo-Kazooie. If you have the wrong ROM file, it will throw up an error message, so just make sure that the one you have is the NTSC-U N64 version, and if you do have the right version, you'll see that Load ROM becomes Start Game in the menu, which should mean you're good to go. And you can jump in immediately if you'd like just to test it out real quick, but I'd hold off until you do these next couple of steps so your text looks a little bit cleaner. Now that the game can run, let's go ahead and add the texture pack, and for this you just need to go to Mods on the main screen and click Install Mods. Then you can select the compressed bk-reloaded.rtz file and click Open. You might get a message about overwriting mods here, but you can just go ahead and click on Overwrite, and then back at the Mods menu tab, you'll see the HD texture pack and any other mods that you've installed are now listed, and you can use the giant toggle in the lower left to enable or disable them. And if you do opt to install the BK Nostalgia 64 or BK Jiggies of Time mods, you'll have the option to play each of those individually whenever you hit Start Game, so there's really not a great reason not to leave these enabled in the menu. And at this point, you're pretty much off to the races, so you can enjoy Banjo-Kazooie in one of its best forms, especially given its ability to save your note progress when leaving a level. But if you'd like to pretty it up first so it looks nice in the game interface, feel free to go back to Banjo in your Steam library and go to Properties to manually adjust the artwork if you'd like. Or alternatively, if you're a Decky Loader user, you can do this when you get back into game mode, where it's a little bit easier to just go ahead and grab exactly the image that you're looking for. Either way, now you're free to hop back over into game mode and play one of the best 3D platformers of the era. And I have to say, I'd kind of forgotten how great Banjo-Kazooie is. Even though it was one of my childhood favorites, it's a game that I hadn't revisited in a while, and ironically, right before I decided to go ahead and make this video, I'd actually been doing work on the analog 3D video that I'm working on, and I'd actually just recently picked up a copy of Banjo-Kazooie Complete in Box for the 64. So now I have the ability to kind of compare what this kind of souped up version looks like against the original, and honestly I had a lot more fun than I thought I was going to with this video, and that's really for a few reasons that I think works on multiple levels. For starters, playing the game itself is an absolute blast, and you can definitely feel the difference between frame rate and things like improved camera controls, because no shade at the original C buttons on the N64 controller, but a second analog stick is way better. And the game is charming as ever, and I'd really forgotten just how many abilities Banjo and Kazooie have between the two of them. And even though it's definitely a collectathon of sorts, it feels like a more fun, approachable collectathon, rather than kind of the overstuffed ones that I think we get a lot of the time today with open world games. Also, the 2 mods that I mentioned basically give you like 2 bespoke Banjo campaigns, one in the world of Mario 64 and the other within the world of Ocarina of Time. And it's not just that you're getting themed levels, although they certainly are that, but you can tell these were made with a lot of love and care, and a lot of the writing and jokes and humor in both of these is just absolutely on point. And as someone who rarely finishes games, I was so impressed by the Mario one in particular that I'm pretty sure I'm going to go ahead and finish that one. I might not do it immediately because there are lots of other games that I'm playing right now, but it definitely stuck out to me, and I definitely recommend at least trying them out for a little bit. Also, I would say it's just like a lightweight tinker project to mess around with. On a scale of 1 to 10 for difficulty, I put this about a 2 or a 3, right? It definitely takes a little bit of work because you do have to find a ROM file that's going to be compatible with it, and you do have to, make sure you go through the steps properly, but the documentation for it's really good, and if I can figure it out, pretty much anybody can figure it out. Oh, and I would also like to point out that this version of the game is just so well done when it comes to navigating its menus as well. Everything is really straightforward to navigate, and I love that every single element is navigable from a controller, so even though you can run this in the desktop mode and navigate the menu that way, or just use a keyboard and mouse if you would like, you can also just hit the menu button on any standard controller that you have paired with your Steam Deck or on the Steam Deck itself, and get to all of these same menu options if you need to change anything about your controls or your video output options. But that's going to be it for this one. This was really just meant to be a quick little video to get you up and running with Banjo-Kazooie on your Steam Deck, and I don't think I've spent enough time with like the Rare Replay collection and the original cartridge version and this version of playing it, which is I guess kind of a hybrid of both, to really say if this is the definitive way to play, but at least in my initial testing, it feels like it will probably end up my definitive way to play. Plus, it always makes me happy just to see retro games like this that are being kept alive, remixed, or otherwise just updated for modern players. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. If you have any questions about this or issues that you run into, let me know in the comments below and I'll do what I can to help, or I might just refer you to somebody who is smarter than me if I am unable to help. So yeah, as far as what's coming up on the channel, naturally I'm still chugging away at the analog 3D testing for a video on that system, and while this video might have derailed that progress just a little bit, I think it was actually pretty helpful overall since I was able to capture footage of this version of the game so I could compare it with the original, so yeah, stay tuned for that. As always, thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch videos here on the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Have an amazing day, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.